All right, the president expected to rally tens of thousands of supporters in Minnesota tonight, looking to turn the North Star state red.
He's heading right into the heart of Ilhan Omar's district, where the congresswoman and the Minneapolis mayor made it clear neither he nor his supporters are welcome.
Yeah, joining us live from Minneapolis now is the director of communications for President Trump's re-election campaign, Tim Murtaugh. Thanks for coming on, Tim. Tell us what you need to do to win Minnesota.
Well, I think the president is going to come here later today, and he'll talk about his record, how things have improved for the people of Minnesota, just as they have for people across the country. The unemployment rate is down to about 3.3% here in Minnesota, where I am speaking to you from this morning, and that's even better than the national unemployment rate. And I think that you just got to talk about the record and, in fact, what the Democrats plan to do if one of them gets into the White House. Across the northern part of the state, the Iron Range and the mining communities here in Minnesota, those folks are very concerned about Democrat plans to eliminate the use of fossil fuels in the United States. Minnesota gets pretty cold during the winter, and most people here use fossil fuels to heat their homes. And the Democrats want to make that out of bounds and say that fossil fuels are no longer going to be used here in the United States. That is a real problem in a state like Minnesota. It means jobs. About a quarter, people don't realize this, but about a quarter of the length of the Mississippi River flows through Minnesota. And a lot of the fossil fuels, coal and oil and natural gas, are shipped through Minnesota, and that means a lot of jobs and a lot of money into the state economy, and that's what the president's going to be talking about.
So let's take a look at some of the recent, voting history as far as the presidential elections go. And while we have that up on the screen, you'll notice some of the differences there. Republican presidential candidate has not won the state since Nixon did in 1972. And then there's a quote here from Ken Martin, the chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, who says, over the last 25 years, I've never seen an investment as robust and deep this early by a Republican presidential candidate. Is that the plan to make it something that Democrats can't keep up with there?
Yes, that is the plan. We're going to be mounting a real, live, full-on, statewide campaign here in Minnesota for the president's re-election. In 2016, the president had one staffer on the ground, one paid staffer here in Minnesota, and by Election Day, that staffer had been moved to Colorado. Right now, at this moment, we've got about 20 paid full-time staffers on the ground in Minnesota, with a plan to expand that to almost 100 people. And last time, the statewide budget for the campaign was between $30,000 and $40,000. This time we're talking about spending tens of millions of dollars. So this is a real live campaign, and if the DFL and the Democrats say they've never seen anything like it, well, it's because they haven't. In
2016, you guys had the benefit of a candidate that I don't think really understood that those northern blue states, those Rust Belt states, were at risk. You're probably not going to get that again this time around, and you're probably going to get a candidate that's going to pay a lot of attention to Minnesota as well. Does that mean a tougher fight for a state that, as she said, hasn't gone red in like 40 years?
Well, I think based on what we just talked about, we're ready for this. We're putting the resources and the manpower into states like Minnesota. But frankly, it doesn't matter if we catch the Democrats by surprise or not, because the president's record and the president's message is so strong. Working class people here in Minnesota and elsewhere know what the president has done for this economy, what he's done for their jobs. Manufacturing jobs, created over 6 million jobs nationwide across all kinds of jobs. But in the construction and manufacturing and energy sector, more than 1 million jobs in those areas alone. And people who are union members, the rank and file union workers in Minnesota and elsewhere across this part of the country, are going to be strongly with the president. You know why? Because he told them in 2016, look, I'm going to defend your jobs, make your jobs better, and create more of them. And guess what? He did that. And now he's coming back to them and saying, look, I made these promises to you and I kept them, and now I'd like your support again in 2020. And those people will be there for them. And so even if the Democrats know that we're coming in these typically blue states, we don't look at states as whether or not they're red or blue. We look at them as Trump states. And we think that Minnesota is, without question, a Trump state.
All right. Tim Murtaugh, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you.